Hey guys, and welcome back. So it's time to talk the trailer breakdown for Leap, the 10th episode of the 6th season of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, as per the usual, let me remind you that tomorrow I'm going to be posting my theory video for the week on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. A lot of things are becoming clearer. Some of the theories we've been presenting since the beginning of the season might actually hold true. I'm going to talk about that in detail on tomorrow's video, but for the time being, let's get started by watching the trailer and then breaking it down.
Why am I locked up? How the hell did I get in here?
You don't know?
No, what?
You don't remember shooting Sarge?
Doing what?
Try to piece it all together. How are these two related? And how does she figure it too?
I'm locking down the lighthouse.
Things don't have to be painful. Oh, bad idea, love.
Alright, so the trailer does indicate that next week's episode is going to pick up right after where we left off this week, which is pretty much May shooting Sarge on the stinger of the episode. Now May is going to be in holdup. She's going to be wondering why she is in a cell, what she did to deserve that. She doesn't remember anything. She doesn't remember killing Sarge. It's pretty obvious that she was possessed by Azel, because we do see Azel on this episode going through people, in and out of people. That does indicate that she's got the ability to possess people. Now that kind of presents the possibility that she is loosely based on Malice from the comics, the mutant Malice, because there are several characters in the comics with that name, including Nakia. But yeah, she is based on the mutant Malice, and Malice in the comics has got the ability to possess people's minds, so that's definitely a possibility. Now, considering as well that we've got talk on the most recent episode about wearing skin, like she's talking to Sarge and telling him the skin that you're wearing, trying to save the skin that you're wearing, I'm thinking over here there is the possibility that this is not necessarily Azel, this is not necessarily what Azel looks like, that she is as well wearing the skin, which does open up the possibility that she might be based on something like that which endures out of the comics. You know, the microorganism that can take possession of people and tried heavily on the pages of the comics to take possession of mutants, found out that mutants pretty much presented a solid home for them. But okay though, gonna talk about that in more detail later on. But yeah, May doesn't know what happened, she doesn't remember anything. She was possessed, she did not doing willingly all that talk prior to killing Sarge on the most recent episode. You know, the conversation with Yoyo about having had to kill Sarge the moment that she saw him. All of that was just supposed to throw us off the moment that she went in and killed him, you know, until we absorbed the shock and realized, okay, that's not really May. Now, at the beginning of the trailer, there's a little bit of panic, a little bit of chaos, so that's right after what happened on this week's episode. May shoots Sarge, and then everyone is running around. What the hell happened? The next thing we see over there is Sarge with a bullet to the head, one of 3 bullets that May put in him. The final one was the one to the head. He's on a stretcher, Fitz is staring at him. I'm pretty sure Fitz is gonna be in shock. He does look like he is in shock. I mean, the guy lost Coulson without getting the chance to say goodbye, and now there is this guy who's got the same DNA as Coulson. And I'm sure Fitz has gotten all the information since he made it back, and I'm sure Fitz was already planning to work on figuring it out along with Simmons. So yeah, I'm thinking over here he was planning it before the fact, even though the part that's pretty obvious over here is that Fitz is planning as well on this trailer to do that, to figure it out after the fact. But we've got a scene as well where Simmons is standing right in front of Sarge's body. I'm sure she was there when Coulson died. I'm sure she did see his dead body. That must be a little bit traumatic, seeing the same body, in a manner of speaking, kinda dead in front of you, especially when you haven't suffered with Sarge that much, so you really don't hate the guy as much as everyone else over there hates him. You were in space the entire time, and especially when you used to love Coulson so much. But the next thing over here is Fitz is asking the question. He's trying to figure it out. How are these two related, aka Coulson and Sarge, and how did she figure it? And that's speaking of Azel. Now, is that confirmation that Sarge and Coulson are related? That's a possibility. Is that confirmation that the body that just got shot 3 times is the body of Coulson? That's also a possibility. Do I want it to be a possibility? Do I want to be right about the one thing that I've been preaching since the beginning of the season? Yes, I do. But there is the possibility that Fitz over here is pretty much assuming things. I mean, he is still researching it. He's still trying to figure things out. So who knows what he's going to come up with in the end. But moving on though, the next thing is Azel. The next thing is not just Azel really, but rather Azel and an orb. The orb over there does look like the orb where they contained the Fear Dimension temporarily on episode 14 of season 5, the Devil Complex. Remember when Fitz went old doctor, took the chip out of Daisy's neck, and Daisy ended up containing it using the gravitonium. So yeah, think about it this way. Azel is after the monoliths. She claims they are hers. She escaped from a world of fear and darkness. It's an alternate world. It's a different world. It's another dimension. We've got the Fear Dimension, which was created by the monoliths. So there's really a good chance over here that she's opening a portal to her home place, to where she came from. And that place is not necessarily the Fear Dimension. The Fear Dimension was just part of that. The place is much bigger. The place is on a bigger scale. And she is pretty much trying to open a portal or a gateway to that place. I do believe as well that the Fear Dimension is gonna come into play. Gonna talk about that on a future video because that's gonna include spoilers from some synopsis when I think about them. But yeah, I do think it's gonna come into play sooner or later. You do need to remember over here that the only fears that we did see last season when the Fear Dimension was all open up for business were the fears of Coulson. You know, all of this was for nothing. He was all dead all along. That was the fear there. Then we've got Fitz Simmons, which was basically all about the Doctor. And finally Deke, which was all about the Kree and the Kree infested future. But Mack, though, is locking down the Lighthouse. That's pretty much reminiscent of the only time that the Lighthouse has been on lockdown. That was on season 5, that was during the Confederacy invasion, and that was when Coulson made the mistake with the menus. He didn't read the menus to the end. So for one thing, I do hope Mack reads the menu to the end, and I do hope as well that we get a funny callback to that moment. But we've got Piper looking over her shoulder. Everyone is worried about that person that manages to possess people, so everyone wants to make sure they're not possessed. The next thing as well is that Azel makes herself seen, makes herself noticeable, tells everyone that she's in control. We've got someone else in charge. Let's make this easy. Things don't have to be painful. But Piper, though, draws a gun. Things do become painful because Azel kind of runs through Piper, runs with Piper through May, and that's gonna be extremely painful for everyone. But the final thing though on this trailer is Daisy and Yoyo running around trying to save the day, Daisy quaking some glass. I'm thinking Daisy is going to be contained for a moment. I'm thinking Daisy is the one big thing that Azel is going to be fearing within the Lighthouse. Makes a lot of sense as well. So yeah, just like Sarge set up that fake invisible wall just to keep Yoyo out, I'm pretty sure knowing that Azel could pretty much communicate with her shrikes, she's gonna try to keep Daisy out. She probably knows what she's capable of based on what she did to her shrikes back when they were still dealing with the situation in and around Sarge's rig. But that's the trailer though, and as usual, to get a better feel of what we're getting on next week's episode, the synopsis of this episode does read, "Something's wrong." That's pretty much the header. The body of the synopsis goes, "The party's over, and now the team must trust each other in order to face impending doom and an enemy that's closer than they think." I guess the part about impending doom is all about Azel. She's still around, she's still alive, and she's still out to achieve what she's set to achieve. The part about trusting one another will come after the realization that she could possess people, so they're going to be standing there and wondering, who can we trust? I mean, is Yoyo possessed? Is May possessed? Is Daisy, Simmons, Fitz, Mack possessed? I think that's going to be a major issue on next week's episode because as of now, they trust one another. There's no reason to put this in the synopsis unless there is something on next week's episode that's going to cause them to lose trust in one another. But the final thing about this statement is the enemy that's closer than they think. That's about Azel being in the Lighthouse, that's one thing, and also about the possibility that they're standing right there talking to one another, and Azel is pretty much one of them. She's right there possessing one of them. But finally though, as far as guest stars go, on this synopsis we haven't gotten much. We've got Carolina Widra as Azel, we've got Maximilian Izinski as Daviiz, and Brianna Venskis as Piper. I mean, most of our guest starring characters are gone by now. Marcus Benson and Butterfly do remain, but Marcus Benson is out there doing his research, and Butterfly is either in holding or in a room somewhere. And we've already lost Jacko and Pax on this week's episode, so yeah, not too much in the way of guest stars. On another note, in departing from the synopsis and speaking of the promotional photos, we've got all the promotional photos for this episode, none of which does give us much. I mean, it's all in the Lighthouse, it's all about the team talking to one another. Some of them do put us under the impression that something is wrong, but others do make us believe that everything is alright, they're just having casual conversations. They're even smiling at moments like they don't know what's going on, so we're gonna realize the full extent of those scenes when we watch them next week. Suffice to say though, all of them seem to be part of the same setting and the same scene. But that being said though, my work here is done, so let me know in the comments down below what you thought of the trailer of next week's episode, what you think is gonna go down on the episode, and if you think we're gonna see Sarge again, either in this body or in another body. Let me know as well if you did like this video by dropping it one of those much appreciated likes, subscribing to this channel, make sure while you're at it to enable notifications in order to get updates whenever I upload a new video, publish a new community post, or start a new live stream. But until the next time that you tune in for another one of my videos, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or otherwise, thank you so much for tuning in to this trailer breakdown, and have a great day.